She laughed at me in front of her entire department, pointed at me like I was some helpless kid, while everyone roared. They thought I would stand there quietly. They thought I was weak. They didn't know that 5 minutes later I would walk out with her boss's respect, and she'd realize she just destroyed her own image. If you like stories where the quiet one hits back without raising his voice, subscribe, like, and drop a comment. It helps more than you know. I pulled the crisp collar of my shirt one more time. I don't know why I bothered, and no matter how good I looked, Rebecca would find something to correct. Ethan, are you ready? We need to leave. The regional VP will be there tonight. She called from the hallway with that tone. Half impatience, half embarrassment. Her annual corporate gala, where she shined, where I blended into wallpaper. She appeared in the doorway, flawless, coldly beautiful. The kind of woman who always looked like she was auditioning for a commercial. Her eyes traveled over my outfit. You ironed that shirt, right? I don't want you looking sloppy. I bit the inside of my cheek. Yes, twice. She didn't say you look good. She just nodded like I'd met minimum requirements. The hotel hosting the gala was absurd. Glass everywhere, enormous chandeliers. The kind of place that smells like expensive decisions and ruthless ambition. We entered the ballroom, and instantly people flocked to her. She squeezed my elbow and whispered, "Stand beside me, smile, and please, don't ramble." I wasn't her husband tonight, that I was an accessory. She glided from group to group, tossing polished compliments like confetti. Everyone laughed harder when she spoke. When I spoke, people blinked politely and shifted their weight, like they were waiting for the real conversation to resume. I tried to stay positive. I fetched drinks. I nodded at strangers. I listened to inside jokes I didn't understand. Then she spotted the group she'd been hunting, marketing leadership. The ones in suits that cost more than my car. There they are, she murmured, and suddenly her hand tightened on my arm. Please, Ethan, don't do anything awkward. She led me over like someone presenting a newly groomed show dog. This is my husband, she announced at a few polite smiles, quick nods, the kind people give to a hotel bellhop. They started discussing their most recent team-building weekend. Skydiving, off-roading, people bragging about risks and fearlessness. Rebecca thrived here, bold, fearless, unstoppable. She tossed her hair, laughing. Our team should do something even crazier next year, someone said. Maybe a survival weekend. Sleep in the wilderness. Hunt our own food. They all laughed confidently, as though the idea of discomfort was amusing, not terrifying. Rebecca pointed her wine glass toward me. Ethan? Wilderness? Oh no. She didn't even pause to check my expression. He gets nervous just lighting the barbecue. If we ever camped, he'd probably yelp for hotel options. Everyone laughed, not politely. They laughed like I was a joke. My neckline went hot. My pulse beat against my collar. Rebecca wasn't done. And at home? One tiny spider and he nearly. Rebecca, I murmured, forcing a smile. That's enough. But she enjoyed the spotlight too much to stop. He nearly called animal control. She finished. More laughter. Louder now. I felt something hollow open inside me. Not anger. Something colder. One of the executives, tall, silver-gray hair, commanding presence, watched me instead of Rebecca. His eyes weren't mocking. They were assessing, like he saw something in me the others missed. I think knowing your limits takes strength, he said calmly. Not everyone needs to prove themselves with bravado. Rebecca laughed harder and patted his arm as if he was joking. No, trust me, he's harmless. Super cautious. I'm the fearless one. There it was, not we, not us, just her. The conversation resumed, but I heard nothing. Something inside me shifted, not snapping, just settling in a place with icy clarity. I excused myself from the cluster of executives. Rebecca barely looked at me as I walked away. She'd gotten her laugh, her audience. She had no idea that the next room I stepped into would change everything. I stepped out of the ballroom and into a quieter lounge area near the elevators. Dim lighting, soft jazz, empty leather armchairs. Silence. It hit me like cold water. My hands trembled, not from embarrassment anymore, but from something sharper. I stared out the tall window overlooking the city, watching headlights blur into streaks of white and red far below. I wasn't angry about the spider joke or camping. I was angry because she enjoyed the laughter more than she cared about me. She didn't defend me. She offered me up. 15 minutes passed before I heard footsteps. Slow, steady, confident. I turned. The silver-haired executive who had spoken up earlier stood there, holding 2 glasses of bourbon. Without a word, he set one on the bar beside me. His name was Andrew. I'd seen his signature on Rebecca's company swag. He was the regional director, the man everyone tried to impress, including her. He didn't smile, didn't soften his tone, just lifted his glass slightly. Thought you could use a real drink. I nodded. Thanks. He leaned on the bar, looking straight ahead through the window. I've seen that expression before, he said. The look of a man realizing something important about the person standing beside him. I took a sip. The bourbon burned in a good way. I'm fine. No, you're not. He didn't say it unkindly. He said it like a fact. When I didn't respond, he continued. Confidence is loud. Insecurity is louder. Tonight your wife was shouting. I frowned. I don't want to talk about her. I know, he replied. But sometimes the truth shows up whether we invite it or not. Silence. Deep, heavy silence. Then he surprised me. Do you know why people laugh louder when someone tears down their spouse? Because it makes them feel safer about their own lives. He finished his glass. Strength isn't loud. It doesn't need an audience. I didn't know what to say. The room felt too still, too honest. Finally, I asked, why did you follow me out here? Because that wasn't harmless teasing, he said. That was strategy. She wanted to look powerful, and she used you as the price of admission. His words hit harder than her jokes. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card. If you ever decide you're done playing supporting character in someone else's story, call me. I stared at his card. He wasn't just being polite. He meant it. Before I could speak, we heard laughter approaching. High heels. The fast, confident rhythm I recognized instantly. Rebecca walked into the room with 3 coworkers trailing behind her like an entourage. Oh, here you are, she said, her voice dripping with false concern. Everyone was asking where you disappeared to. Her coworkers kept smiling tight corporate smiles, waiting for the show to continue. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried the conversation had shifted without her. She stepped closer. Ethan, come back inside. Don't make this a thing. Andrew straightened, placing his hands in his pockets. He didn't break eye contact with her. Actually, Rebecca, your husband and I were talking. Her smile faltered. Talking? About what? About potential, he said. She blinked, confused. Potential for what? For better surroundings, he replied. For opportunities where respect doesn't need to be earned by humiliation. Her coworkers froze. No one knew where to look. Rebecca's voice sharpened. Andrew, are you criticizing me? I'm making an observation. He looked at me. Are you ready? I didn't know what he meant. Ready for what? He nodded toward the ballroom. For a decision. I glanced through the doorway. The music. The crowd. People pretending to like each other. People laughing at whatever made them feel powerful. My decision was simple. I said, quietly but clearly, I'm going home. Rebecca's jaw dropped. You're what? I'm done being the punchline. She grabbed my arm. Ethan, don't be dramatic. This night matters. Yes, for you, but apparently not for us. Her coworkers stared at the floor. I gently removed her hand from my arm. Good luck with your career. And I walked toward the exit. She didn't follow, but someone did. Andrew stopped beside me near the elevator. Leaving takes more courage than staying. I exhaled shakily. I don't know what comes next. He handed me his card again, firmer this time. You don't have to know. Just don't forget tonight. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. The last thing I saw before the doors closed was Rebecca standing frozen in the doorway, realizing the crowd wasn't laughing anymore. The ride down felt like free fall, but not from fear. For the first time in years, I felt something different. I felt free. The next morning, Sunlight spilled through the blinds like nothing had happened. But everything had. The house was too quiet. Rebecca wasn't home. Not surprising. She preferred staying out late when things didn't go her way. In the kitchen, I brewed coffee and stared at the steam rising from the mug, thinking of last night, the laughter, the humiliation, and the moment I walked away. Every second of it replayed in loops. But instead of shame, something else filled me, a strange, pulsing steadiness. I was no longer afraid of the silence. I sat at the table, Andrew's business card beside my cup. I traced the edge of it with my finger. His words echoed in my head. If you ever decide you're done playing supporting character in someone else's story, call me. I didn't call. Not yet. I didn't want to act out of emotion. I wanted clarity. At noon, I heard the front door open. Rebecca appeared, sunglasses still on, like she was shielding herself from reality. She set her purse on the counter and acted as though she was coming home from brunch, not from hours of ignoring me. She poured herself orange juice, not even looking at me. So, she finally said, "Are you done being dramatic?" Dramatic. That word. She sipped her juice like nothing mattered. You left me standing there alone. I don't care how sensitive you were being. That was humiliating for me. For you? I repeated. You humiliated me in front of your entire department. She scoffed. Oh, come on, Ethan. It was just playful teasing. You're overreacting. If it was playful, why were they laughing at me? She rolled her eyes. People laugh. It's a party. Not everything revolves around your feelings. I stood slowly from the chair. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. I simply said the thing that had been forming in me since last night. I'm not a prop in your life. She blinked, confused. A prop? I continued. You put me next to you when it makes you look good. You distance yourself when it doesn't. You don't want a partner. You want an accessory. She slammed her glass down too hard, juice splattering on the counter. You are twisting everything. I laughed once quietly. Did you even notice Andrew walked away with me? Her head snapped up. Andrew? As in my boss Andrew? Yes. She stepped closer, lowering her voice to a sharp whisper. What did you say to him? Nothing. He spoke. He's observant. He noticed how you treated me. She froze, and for the first time, I saw worry, not arrogance. What exactly did he say? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The silence said enough. She exhaled, forcing a smile, smoothing her hair like she could iron reality flat. Ethan, listen. I've been under pressure. Work has been intense. I needed to impress the right people. I didn't mean to. A notification buzzed on my phone. Unknown number. Ethan, this is Andrew. If you're free, I'd like to talk about something you might find interesting. My pulse kicked hard. Rebecca watched me read the message. Who's that? She demanded. Just work. I slipped the phone into my pocket. She crossed her arms. Are you meeting him? Maybe. Why? Her voice tightened. If you say something stupid, if you embarrass me, there it was again. Not concerned for me, only for her image. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. She followed, her voice rising. Ethan, don't do anything impulsive. I paused at the doorway. Not impulsive, just finally acting. I left without looking back. In the parking lot of a quiet cafe, Andrew was already at a table outside. He nodded for me to sit. No bourbon this time. 2 coffees. He asked nothing about Rebecca. Instead, he leaned forward and said, You mentioned last night that you used to do carpentry. Sketch furniture. Design spaces. I studied him carefully. How did you? I pay attention. He pulled out a folder. Inside were layout drafts. Office redesign proposals. We need a fresh point of view. Creative eyes unshaped by corporate tunnel vision. I stared at him. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering conversation. The outcome is up to you. He tapped the folder. If you're interested, look these over. Tell me what you see that everyone else missed. What if I have no idea what I'm doing? Then you learn, he replied. The only people who never get opportunities are the ones too afraid to try. I opened the folder, seeing sketches, measurements, 3D prints. Ideas rushed through me before I could stop them. Natural light placement, space flow, material texture. And just like that, Something inside me woke up, something that had been dead for years. When I looked up, Andrew was watching me with the smallest hint of a smile. "There it is," he said. "There what is." The moment a man realizes he's been living too small. I closed the folder. "Let me think." "Take your time." He stood and extended his hand. "Just know this. The world is full of people who will happily shrink you to fit their comfort. Your job is to refuse to comply." I watched him walk to his car, folder still in my hands, pulse thrumming. For the first time in years, I wasn't replaying Rebecca's words. I was hearing my own voice. My life wasn't ending. It was beginning. I spent the next week living like two different men in one body. During the day, I studied the design folder Andrew gave me. In the evenings, I pretended everything was normal at home. Rebecca and I moved around each other like strangers in a shared hotel room. She tried to act affectionate, suddenly asking about my hobbies, asking what I was working on, even cooking dinner like nothing had ever happened. But her eyes always flicked toward my phone. She wasn't interested in me. She was interested in what I might tell Andrew. One night, when she thought I wasn't looking, I caught her hovering near my laptop, trying to see what I was working on. She was scared, not of losing me, but of losing control. That fear sparked something in me I hadn't felt in years. Power. I didn't show her the drawings. I didn't mention the meetings. I didn't ask permission. The second meeting with Andrew wasn't at a cafe. He invited me to the firm's private workspace, a room filled with architectural models, concept boards, lighting samples, hardwood squares, textured tiles. When I walked in, a team of designers paused, looking up from a large conference table. Andrew introduced me. "This is Ethan. He sees what we don't." No title, no explanation, no apology. They began discussing their project. I listened for maybe 10 minutes before I realized they were missing something obvious. And without thinking, I stepped closer to the layout on the table. "Your natural light path is blocked," I said, tracing the shape of the model with my finger. "If you rotate the central space 15 degrees, you capture sunrise and save on artificial lighting." The room fell silent. One of the architects blinked. "Why didn't we see that?" Another asked, "Could you sketch what you mean?" My pulse hammered, but my hand moved steadily. I sketched the rotation on the blueprint. The room shifted from polite curiosity to intense focus. Andrew watched the whole exchange with that same unreadable calm. After the meeting, he walked me to the elevator. "You belong in rooms where your voice matters," he said. I swallowed hard. "I'm not sure I'm qualified." "You don't need permission to be valuable. You just need to show up." He pressed the elevator button. And you just did. When I walked into the house later that night, Rebecca was sitting on the couch, arms crossed, jaw tense. "Where were you?" I shrugged off my coat. "Out." She stood and followed me. "With Andrew?" I didn't answer. Silence is a powerful weapon. She fired again. "What did you want? Why do you care?" I asked. Her face twisted. "Because he's my boss, and I don't want you interfering with my career." There it was. Not concern, not love, possession. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "I think you're afraid someone else finally sees me." She laughed, but it sounded brittle. "No one sees you, Ethan. You're not important to them. You're a distraction." Something in me snapped, but not loudly. Quietly, coldly. I walked to the bedroom, opened the closet, and pulled out an old box, a box I hadn't touched in 10 years. Inside were sketches, mock-ups, rough drafts of designs I'd made before I gave everything up so Rebecca could chase promotions. She followed me, watching. "What's that?" "My future," I said. She stared like she didn't recognize me. The next day, Andrew texted again. "We'd like you to present some of your concepts to the team tomorrow. If you're interested." Interested. The word felt too small for what was happening. I spent hours refining my sketches, adjusting the angle of one design, adding depth to another. For the first time in my adult life, I lost track of time because I was actually excited. Not for Rebecca. Not for anyone else. For me. The day of the presentation, I got dressed slowly. Not in a suit Rebecca picked. I wore what felt right. Rebecca stood by the kitchen island. watching me tie my shoes like she didn't know who I was anymore. You're really going? Yes. With him. With myself, I corrected. She stepped closer, voice tight. What if you embarrass yourself? I smiled. Then it will be my failure, not yours to hide. For a moment, I saw fear flicker across her expression. I left before she could say anything else. At the firm, the meeting room was full. Samples, boards, and the lead architects. Andrew motioned toward a large screen. Whenever you're ready. My throat tightened. I wasn't used to people waiting for me to speak. I took a breath and began. I walked them through the design flow, the light placement, the way natural textures could make the space feel grounded, the importance of emotion in architecture. Not just function, emotion. When I finished, the room was silent. Then one of the senior architects stood. That solves our problem, she said. And it's better than what we had. Another nodded. I like the courage in this. Who's contracting him? Andrew looked at me, not them. That depends on him. My heart raced. I hadn't imagined any of this. These people, real professionals, valued me. Not the version of me Rebecca curated. Me. After the meeting, Andrew stopped me near the hallway. There's something else you should know. Your wife approached leadership about your presence here. I felt a cold wave move through me. What did she say? That your involvement was inappropriate. That you shouldn't be taken seriously. I waited for anger. Instead, I felt clarity. And what did you say? He looked me dead in the eyes. I said we take talent seriously, regardless of marital insecurity. I exhaled slowly. Thank you. Don't thank me. You earned it. He walked away, leaving me standing in a hallway filled with possibility. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my car in the parking lot, staring through the windshield, breathing in something new. Confidence. I wasn't running anymore. I was rising, and Rebecca could feel it. I just didn't know yet how far she would go to stop me. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I didn't check my phone. I didn't look toward Rebecca's side of the bed. I just stood in the bathroom, palms on the sink, staring at the man in the mirror. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt present, alive. When I walked into the kitchen, Rebecca was already dressed for work, blazer immaculate, hair perfect, mask firmly in place. We need to talk, she said, voice controlled but trembling underneath. I sat. She stayed standing, like I was on trial. I spoke to HR yesterday. About you. So it starts, I thought. She folded her arms. They agreed with me. Your presence in the office creates a conflict of interest. You can't just waltz into my workplace and get involved in projects. It reflects badly on me. I stared at her, amazed that after everything, she still believed the world revolved around her image. Did you tell them you invited me to that gala? Did you tell them you humiliated me in front of your team? Her jaw clenched. That has nothing to do with this. It has everything to do with this. She swallowed hard, eyes cold and calculating. And one more thing. I applied for a transfer. West Coast office. Bigger market. Bigger opportunities. Bigger distance. I blinked, letting those words settle. You applied without talking to me? I don't need permission to advance my career, she snapped. The real question is whether you're coming with me or staying here and pretending you're suddenly some kind of consultant. The word pretending hit like a slap. I stood slowly. I'm not pretending. For the first time in years, I'm living. She exhaled, losing her patience. Ethan, I have done everything for us. I have carried this marriage while I what? While I supported you. While I disappeared into the background so you could shine. She stepped close, lowering her voice. You won't make it without me. That line, that sentence, it snapped the last tether between us. I walked past her, grabbed my jacket, and headed for the door. Where are you going? She demanded. To the one place where I'm seen. I left her standing in the kitchen, gripping her coffee mug like it was the only solid thing in her hands. At the office, Andrew was waiting near reception, an envelope in his hand. Ethan, we need to talk. Those words always sound like danger. But his tone wasn't sharp. It was steady. We went into a small conference room. The door closed. He placed the envelope on the table between us. Your wife attempted to block your involvement with the project. Again, I nodded once. I figured. But leadership reviewed your work. They don't agree with her. He slid the envelope toward me. Inside was a contract. A real one. Not a courtesy. Not a trial. A consulting agreement. My consulting agreement. I stared at it, heart pounding. This is full project involvement, he said. You'd be working directly with our design team. Multiple developments. Real compensation. Real credit on the build. I traced the letters of my name printed on the contract. My name, not hers. Andrew paused, studying me. Before you say yes, there's something you need to know. She requested the transfer because she couldn't stand the idea of you succeeding. I felt no shock, just confirmation. I thought she wanted a fresh start. No, she wanted control. He leaned back in his chair. She tried to convince leadership that you were using her connections to get ahead. I laughed, a quiet, humorless sound. Funny. She always said I'd never be taken seriously, that I'd always be in her shadow. Andrew shook his head. Shadows only exist where there is light. Sometimes the person trying to block you proves exactly how bright you are. I swallowed, emotion tightening my throat. I want this. Then sign it. I did. My signature felt like oxygen, like breaking the surface after being underwater for years. On the way out, I passed one of the architects from earlier. She stopped me. I just wanted to say, your ideas changed the whole direction of this build. Don't doubt your path. I stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the lobby. The metal doors began to close, and Rebecca slid inside at the last second. She was pale, breathless, eyes blazing. You talked to them. You humiliated me. No, I corrected. You did that all by yourself. She stared at me, furious and afraid. Just stop this. Stop whatever fantasy you're chasing. Come to California. Start over. We can fix this. I looked at her, really looked. All those years I thought I needed her approval. But the truth was simple. I only needed my own. No, Rebecca, you can fix yourself. She blinked rapidly. Tears gathered but never fell. So that's it. You're choosing them over me? I shook my head. I'm choosing me. The elevator dinged. Doors opened. I stepped out. She didn't follow. She didn't call my name. She just let me walk away because suddenly, she had nothing left to hold. That evening, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment, small, quiet, mine. City lights stretched to the horizon like possibilities waiting to be claimed. I wasn't the accessory anymore. I wasn't the background. I was the man holding the pen, the man writing his own story. And when I looked in the reflection of the glass door, I didn't see the guy who stood silently while people laughed at him. I saw the man who finally walked away. If you're listening, wherever you are, remember this. Sometimes silence is the loudest revenge. Sometimes respect is taken, not given. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is leave the room where they never valued you in the first place. If you like this story, hit subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. Your support keeps these stories alive.